The Adela Hare Centenary Commemoration Committee came into existence in the early part of 2017, and it's a group consisting of relative representatives, community representatives and local historians, particularly from the Docklands area of Dublin City. And we came together with a view to commemorate and remember the crews and passengers of two ships, the SS Hare and the SS Adela, whose centenary was last year in 2017. The current committee comprises of 6 individuals. Frances Corr, who is a community representative from the Sandymount Ringsend area of the city. Hilary Warner, who is the granddaughter of Joseph Hopkins, able seaman on the SS Hare. Joe Mooney, who is a local historian and involved with the East Wall History Group. Myself, a local historian from the Dublin area, and Dolores Wilson from St Andrew's Resource Centre of Pearse Street, and Elizabeth Watson, who represents the St Andrew's Parish Heritage Working Group. And we came together as a combination of 2 groups, smaller groups, who are working on to document and record and to organise events to commemorate 2 ships, the SS Hare and the SS Adela. Myself and Hilary Warner were started off initially working on the SS Hare because it was something that was very important to Hilary, that she wanted an event to be done in the centenary year to remember her grandfather in particular, but also all those who were on that last voyage of the SS Hare, tragically before the ship was sunk on the 14th of December 1917. At the same time, the East Wall History Group were beginning to plan and organise events around the sinking of the SS Adela, which took place on the 27th of December 1917. And there was a feeling that the story was very similar across both ships and involved both communities on both sides of the Dublin's quays, from East Wall to North Wall to the Custom House area of the city, as well as Irish Town, Ringsend and Sandymount, as well as Pearse Street. So we were a small little working voluntary group. We came together and we started planning events in line for the actual centenary dates, which were due in December. So in particular last year, we decided to tie in with the anniversary of the arrival of the SS Hare in September 1917, when it brought food parcels to the people of Dublin, particularly the striking workers, as part of the Great Lockout. And on the 30th of September, we decided to have a main commemoration event which involved 3 parts. The first being the unveiling of a plaque on Custom House Quay to the SS Hare, and also remembering that moment that the ship played in the Great Lockout in supplying food for the striking workers. And a commemorative plaque was placed on the quays there beside the currently Dublin City Council offices, but the former Docklands Authority offices there, as I say, on Custom House Quay. We then had a similar commemorative plaque unveiling on the other side of the quays, at Sir John Rogerson's Quay, where the SS Adela would have originally berthed. And from there we travelled across to Sir John Rogerson's Quay, the natural berthing area for the Tedcastle fleet, particularly the SS Adela. The Sir John Rogerson's Quay is right beside the original offices, as well as the warehouse and stores belonging to Tedcastle, McCormick and Company Limited. And there we unveiled a plaque in memory of the passenger, Christine Kavanagh, as well as the crew of the SS Adela. And we were very lucky on the occasion that we had with us the Lord Mayor of Dublin, who was also the Admiral of Dublin Port, Councillor Micheál McDonagh, as well as the Councillor Anne Kennedy from Holyhead Town Council, to be with us on the day, on the 30th of September, and who did the unveiling for us in association with some of the family members. We then adjourned to a nearby hotel where we unveiled a publication on the story of both ships and and an exhibition as well, which is currently travelling from various libraries and other buildings, capturing and explaining more about the centenary of these two ships. And then to conclude that evening on the 30th of September, we were very lucky that we were able to utilise the service of Dublin Bay Cruises ship, the St. Bridget, which we went out to as far as the Kish Lighthouse, and we had a simple memorial service and wreath laying service in memory of the two ships with members of the families on board, because it would have been at this particular point where both ships would have travelled back and forth between Dublin and the UK. And for the rest of 2017, we organised various memorial lectures and public lectures. We had the travelling exhibition that travelled from various libraries. And on the actual centenary dates of the sinking of each ship, we had a memorial mass service. For the SS Hare, it took place in St. Andrew's Church there in Westland Row on the 14th of December 2017. And for the Adela, it took place in St. Lawrence O'Toole at Saville Place on the 27th of December 2017. Our work hasn't actually concluded because the story continues with this, and what we had found as we reached out for family members with both ships, and particularly with the SS Adela, it was important to try and capture as much information we can, either through memorabilia that the families would have, the stories that would have been passed down through their family members, and at this. So in 2018 we are documenting those stories, and this website and video presentation is all part of that whole process. And we know that there's other families out there that we haven't been able to make contact with to date, and we're hoping that through the website, through our publication and our travelling exhibition, that we may have these family members making contact with us, and that we can sit down and we can capture those stories and record it for posterity. Because it is a tragic story of both ships, and particularly the SS Adela, and it's important that the family share that. And we hope through our efforts that it brings closure for the families, because of such a tragic event and the turmoil that it would have caused at the time within family structures. Because in most cases, the major breadwinner of the family was the serving crew member on the ship, and as you can imagine, when that breadwinner was gone, the families had to rely on community support as well as charitable donations that were organised by various communities across the Dublin city, initiated by local politicians but also by the clergy at the time. These so-called dependent survivor funds, which allowed businesses, community organisations at the time, the various churches, and even just ordinary workers to give out whatever they could afford, or a contribution went into a kitty, and this then was distributed amongst the families to try and help them to get food, to help educate their children, and to provide whatever materials or supports that were needed to support the families. It was a very important event to happen, and in some ways has not been documented in its own right. We know between 1917 and 1918, the story of the SS Adela and the SS Hare are not unique, because so many other merchant ships, yachts, fishing trawlers, mailboats were all attacked. And we know to this day that there is communities and family members right around the island of Ireland that have been organising various events and documenting family histories associated with so many ships that were tragically sunk as part of the First World War, and particularly in that area of the Irish Sea known as U-Boat Alley. And as I say, the tragic story of the SS Hare and the SS Adela can be replicated right along the communities in Wicklow, in Waterford, in Cork, and right around, as I say, the island of Ireland. And between 2017 and 2018, various events are happening, and particularly in 2018, where there is an organised group of family members and, again, local historians and members of the trade union movement organising centenary events to take place to commemorate the sinking of the RMS Leinster on the 10th of October in 1918, just 1 month and 1 day before the First World War came to an end. And there is a story with the Leinster and the Della, in that on the 27th of December 1917, a torpedo was fired by the U-boat that eventually sunk the SS Adela, but it just missed the Leinster by a fraction, and otherwise it might have been that ship that we would have been all commemorating its sinking in December 1917. But it turned out that that ship continued serving back and forward as the mail ship between the UK and Ireland up to the 10th of October 1918.